Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're tackling a problem that's a great example of object-oriented design, simple bank system. We'll be building a class to automate basic bank transactions. It's a fun one, so let's dive in. Alright, here's the core task. We need to implement a bank class. This class will be initialized with a list of account balances. It needs to handle three main actions: transferring money between two accounts, depositing money into an account, and withdrawing money from an account. Now there are two crucial rules we have to follow. First, let's talk about account numbers. The problem states that accounts are numbered naturally, starting from 1, but the list of balances we get is a standard zero-indexed array. This creates a small but critical offset we need to manage. Account number 1 is at index 0, account 2 is at index 1, and so on. We always have to subtract 1 from the account number to find the right balance. Second, not every transaction is allowed. A transaction is only valid if the account numbers actually exist, and, just like a real bank, you can't withdraw or transfer money you don't have. Let's walk through the example to see this in action. We start with 5 accounts, with balances of 10, 100, 20, 50, and 30. First, we withdraw 10 from account 3. Account 3 has $20. Is that enough? Yes. So the transaction succeeds, and account 3's balance becomes 10. Next, a transfer of 20 from account 5 to account 1. Account 5 has $30, which is plenty. So we take 20 from 5, leaving it with 10, and add it to account 1, which now has 30. This is also successful. Then we deposit 20 into account 5. This is always valid, so account 5 goes back up to 30. Now an interesting case, transfer 15 from account 3 to 4. We look at account 3. Its balance is only 10. We can't transfer 15. So the transaction is invalid, and we return false. Nothing changes. Finally, we try to withdraw 50 from account 10, but wait, we only have 5 accounts. Account 10 doesn't exist, so this is invalid from the start, and we return false. Just a quick heads up. We'll be walking through the solution using Python, but don't worry if that's not your main language. The logic is the same everywhere. I'll be showing the full code for Java, C++, and JavaScript towards the end of the video. The approach here is a direct simulation. Just like the name suggests. We're not doing any complex algorithms, we're just building a system that follows the rules. The main idea is to store the balances when the bank is created. Then, for every single transaction request, we'll have a checklist. Is the account number valid? Is there enough money? If we can tick all the boxes for that transaction, we perform the update. If not, we reject it. Okay, we've talked about the big picture and the logic. Now let's see what this looks like as actual code. I'll put the full solution up on the screen first. And don't worry, after that, we'll walk through the most important sections together. Alright, here's the complete Python code for our bank class. You can see the constructor and the 3 methods we need to implement. It looks pretty clean, right? Now let's break it down piece by piece. First up is the constructor, or the init method. This runs when we first create our bank object. It's very simple. It takes the list of balances and saves it as a property of the class, so we can access it in our other methods. I'm also grabbing the length of this list and storing it in a variable called n. This saves us from having to calculate the length over and over again. It's a small optimization that makes the code cleaner. The most important part of this entire problem is getting the validity checks right. Before we touch any money, we ask 2 questions. First, do these accounts even exist? This check ensures the account number is greater than or equal to 1, and less than or equal to n, our total number of accounts. Second, if we're moving money out of an account, we ask, is there enough cash? We check if the balance at the correct index, remember, that's account number minus 1, is greater than or equal to the money being moved. If either of these checks fails, we immediately return false. Let's look at the transfer method specifically. It's the most complex one because it involves 2 accounts and 2 checks. You can see the nested if statements. The outer one checks if both account numbers are valid. If they are, we proceed to the inner check. Does account 1 have enough money? Only if both of these conditions are true, do we perform the actual transaction, subtracting from the first account and adding to the second, before returning true. If we fail at any point, we fall through and hit that final return, false. The deposit and withdraw methods follow the same pattern, but they're a bit simpler. For a deposit, we only need 1 check. Does the account exist? If it does, we add the money. There's no such thing as an invalid deposit amount. For a withdrawal, it's just like the transfer. We first check if the account exists, and then we check for sufficient funds before subtracting the money. So how efficient is our bank? Let's talk complexity. To initialize the bank, we need to store n balances, so the space complexity is big O of n. However, once the bank is set up, look at our operations. Transfer, deposit, withdraw. They all involve a fixed number of checks and calculations. The work doesn't increase if we have more accounts. This means they are all constant time, or big O of 1, which is fantastic. Alright, that covers the main solution in Python. As promised, for those of you who code in other languages, I'm about to show the full solutions for Java, C++, and JavaScript. I won't be breaking these down, so just pause the video on your language of choice to check it out. Alright, as promised, here is the full solution in Java. You can pause the video here to take a closer look at the implementation. Notice the use of a helper function is valid account to keep the code clean. Next up, here is the C++ version of the solution. Again, feel free to pause and review the code. The logic is identical, just with C++ syntax using a vector to store the balances. And finally, here is the solution in JavaScript. Hopefully seeing it in a few different languages helps solidify the concepts. It follows the exact same structure as the Python and C++ versions. So let's wrap it up. This problem was a fantastic exercise in basic object-oriented design. The main takeaway is the importance of input validation. Always check your inputs, like account numbers and available funds, before you modify any data. And that little detail about 1-based versus 0-based indexing is something you'll see all the time, so it's a great habit to watch out for it. Alright, before we jump into the other languages, I want to quickly show you a personal project I built to solve a problem that always drove me crazy. It's an app called My Daily To-Do. My biggest frustration with every other to-do app was retyping the same things every single day. Go to the gym, review code, work on the daily Leetcode problem. You know the drill. So I built my app around one simple but powerful idea, separating your routine tasks from your one-off tasks. Routine tasks, marked with the little refresh icon, automatically reset for the next day. One-off tasks, like ship new feature, get the little puff of smoke icon, and they disappear for good once you're done. This small change turns a dumb checklist into a smart scheduler. If that sounds useful, you can try it right now on the web. The link is in the description. And one more thing I want to make super clear. Right now, as a thank you for being an early supporter, the app is 100% free. There are no ads and no subscriptions whatsoever. This means you get access to everything, including really powerful features like presets, which let you save entire task lists and load them with a single tap. Now, down the road, creating new presets will likely become part of a premium plan to help support the channel. But, and this is the important part, any presets you create now while it's all free are yours to keep and use forever. So, it's the perfect time to check it out on the web, play with all the features, and build out your perfect setup at no cost. If you enjoyed this problem and want to keep practicing, the learning doesn't have to stop here. I've organized all my video solutions into handy playlists. Whether you're looking to grind through more Leetcode easy, medium, or hard problems, or you want to master a specific topic like sliding window or dynamic programming, I've got a playlist for you. It's the perfect way to focus your study sessions. Go to the playlist tab and find a playlist that fits your goals. Also, if you're looking for even more Leetcode problems beyond the daily challenge, I've started a second channel called Leetcode Unlocked. It's where I'll be posting solutions to a ton of other problems, so if you're serious about your interview prep, be sure to check it out. The link is in the description below. Hope this Leetcode solution breakdown made sense. If it helped, give that like button a click, maybe subscribe for more, or drop a comment if you have questions. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you know straight away when I upload a video, because I upload videos daily. If you want to support the channel, a few people have asked how I plan my solutions. I'm a big fan of sketching out the logic and data structures on a tablet before I code. It really helps. I've put affiliate links in the description to the tablet I use and a few other good options. Using those links doesn't cost you anything extra but really helps me out. Or, if you're feeling generous, there's always the Boba Fund. Keep coding, and I'll catch you in the next one.